Hey everyone, welcome to Bleeding Blue Shirts. Giannone and Steve Valiquette as we talk all things Rangers. Steve, Rangers had three pretty impressive wins off a four-game losing streak. Two that we called pretty important wins in Dallas and in Arizona on the weekend. Follow it up with a 1-0 overtime win over the Flyers, and then the loss Thursday night on home ice to the Bruins. When you take the four games in their entirety, but most specifically the most recent one, the loss to Boston, what stands out to you, Stevie?
You know, John, what I look at most right now is just the shooting percentage of the Rangers, because they've been performing well as far as getting scoring chances. I think there's been a lot of talk about not producing enough at 5-on-5, but what I'm seeing is that they are getting the chances. They're just not finishing on those opportunities. And the Rangers are 28th right now in shooting percentage at 5-on-5. The reason why I bring it up is because there's always a dangerous part of the season, John, where coaches, when they're evaluating their teams, if they know exactly what's happening, and I'm sure Gerard Gallant does, and they're not looking at those raw numbers where they aren't scoring at the same level as other teams that they're competing with for a playoff spot, you don't want to change anything, right? The coach's job is to put structure in place, to have a system that gets you through what a lot of coaches would refer to as the work zone, your D zone, getting through the smart zone, the neutral zone, and then having fun in the offensive zone. And he's doing that, and the team's doing that. I think the only risk they have in their game right now is to deviate from what's been working. And I thought in games against Dallas and Arizona, and when things even went a little bit sideways, difficult, challenging against the Flyers, they were able to just stick with it. And wasn't the Flyers game exactly that? Stick with it, because of course you're going into overtime in a game that you are badly outplaying, out shooting, out hitting the opposition, and now you've got to squeeze out a breakaway goal in overtime from Kreider just to get away with the 2 points. I just think the team's playing well. It's a very good team. The Boston Bruins are an elite team, and I know it's a measuring stick, John, and I'm sure you feel the same way to watch the Rangers go head-to-head with the Bruins after winning 3 that they really needed to stay in it. And I hope they don't just take a step back at this point and maybe get a little bit discouraged, because the Bruins are playing at their highest level. And we haven't said this at all this year, but we say it a lot during the season. It's not who you're playing, but when you're playing them. And we might look back at this set of 11 games for the Bruins and say that was them at their peak, and the Rangers just happened to play them when they were at the height of their powers. And don't take that loss too personally. I don't know what your opinion is on that.
Yeah, I think the one thing, Stevie, that maybe bears a little bit more inspection and introspection is the fact that they gave up 4 in the third, one of them an empty netter against Boston. They battled back to tie twice, only to then give it away in the third period. Yes, Boston's an elite team, no question. And what they've done without McAvoy and Krejci is even more impressive. But is there something more to look into, even without Ryan Lindgren, which is probably a big reason why what happened in the third period on Thursday happened? But what do you do about what happened on Thursday in the third period?
All right, so it starts in net, right? And Igor is Igor. We all know how great he is. The Trent Frederick goal is just not a good goal. And it's not by his standards, but it's not one that frequently goes into the net by NHL goalie standards. In fact, it really reminded me a lot of the Matt Zuccarello goal, where the pass came from below the goal line to the high upper slot above the dot, and Zuccarello scored short side, high blocker side. Now, the Trent Frederick goal was a pass from the wall, but if you look at Shesterkin on that one, I'm telling you right now, he knows what happened there. And because now it's happened twice, I'm sure Allaire would address it with him. He stayed on his post, John, with his right skate. And that's why it was more of a reach to try and go for that puck. I think he would have received it in his body. So that's a goal, quote unquote, a bad goal. And Shesterkin's allowed 4 this year, but 2 were last night, because the Pasternak goal was also short side, high corner from the dead angle. And John, you've watched a lot of hockey with me over the last few years. What do I always say? If you allow 2 bad goals in a game, you certainly lose. So, you know, I think that it wasn't a game in which was too much differently played from the Philadelphia win or the Arizona win or the Dallas win. I just think they were a save away.
All right, so spin forward to Sunday, 5 o'clock game at the Garden against the Red Wings, and then Tuesday night against the Islanders. Where do you think the team's area of focus will be beginning Sunday and then certainly into Tuesday?
Well, I think you certainly have to have more time in the offensive zone. If, again, going back through the previous 4 games, they had plenty of zone time, plenty of rush chances, plenty of transition rush chances against Dallas, Arizona, Philadelphia. But when they played against the Boston Bruins, they were really out-chanced in their offensive zone. The Bruins had 20 scoring chances in the offensive zone. The Rangers only had 4. So how much time are you spending in your own zone? Is that taking away from being in the offensive zone? I'm sure they're going to talk about both aspects, how we're defending and how quickly we're getting out, and how we are not beating ourselves by trying to do too much in our own zone. And when we get into the offensive zone, can we hang on to the puck a little bit longer? Can we recover pucks a little bit more and be a little bit more aggressive and have more sustained zone time? I thought that was the difference in that game against the Bruins versus the previous 3 that they won.
There will be a lot to talk about. As you can tell, Steve and I will have the pregame, intermissions, and postgame coming up on the next 2 nights. It'll be Sunday against the Red Wings, Tuesday against the Islanders before the Rangers take it out on the road. Sam and Joe will have the call of the games, and we look forward to seeing you then and on the next edition of Bleeding Blue Shirt.